Psalm 25. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, O Lord. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, O Lord. How high, higher than the mountains, deeper than the seas. How wide, wider than the ocean is your love for me. You're with me on the mountains and the valleys below. Oh, you are right here beside me everywhere that I go. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord. How high, higher than the mountains, deeper than the seas. How wide, wider than the ocean is your love for me. You're with me on the mountains and the valleys below. Oh, you are right here beside me everywhere that I go. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord. To you, oh Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, oh Lord.
Hello, glad you're joining me for Sunday school today. So our story today is about Moses and the Ten Commandments, when God gave Moses the Ten Commandments that he would then share with the Israelites, with his community. So the thing to remember is that the Israelites had been living in Egypt for 400 years, and for the last many years, they had been slaves and treated terribly by the Egyptians and by the Pharaoh, who was like the king of the Egyptians. And so when they finally escaped from Egypt, they were wandering in the desert, in the wilderness, trying to find their new home, which was this promised land that God said that he would give them. And so right now, when God is going to give the commandments, it's after they've left Egypt and they've been wandering for a while, and they're grumbly, and you'll hear the rest of the story. So here we go. So there they all were. Grannies, granddads, babies, uncles, aunts, children, moms, and dads. Out there in the middle of the desert. They had blisters from all the walking. They were hungry and they were thirsty. And much too hot. We don't like it, they said. It stinks. And so did they, for that matter, because no one had taken a bath in weeks. There aren't any lakes in the middle of this desert. Now remember, because this is something they had forgotten, God had done amazing things for God's people. He'd hidden them inside a cloud. He'd moved the sea. He'd set them free. But God's people still weren't happy. They didn't care about being free. Wasn't it better when they were slaves? At least then they had lots of nice food to eat. God doesn't want us to be happy, they said. It was the same lie that Adam and Eve heard all those years before. God has brought us out here to kill us. God doesn't love us. But they didn't know God very well, did they? We know better now. Every day of their journey, God kept showing his people how well he would look after them. If they would trust him and obey him, when they were hungry, God made the sky rain with food, bread coming down from heaven. Can you imagine? What is it? They asked each other. They didn't know what to call it. What is it? Is what they called it, which means is a very good name for something that when you don't know what it is. What is it? It actually means manna. When they were thirsty and they started quarreling, God made water flow from a rock. Have you ever seen water flow right out of a rock? Well, they did. Moses called that place quarreling because that seemed like a good name too. And still, God's children didn't trust him or do what he said. They thought they could do a better job of looking after themselves and making themselves happy. But God knew there was no such thing as happiness without him. So God led them to a tall mountain. And God wanted to talk to his people and show them what he was like. He wanted to help them know him better and tell them about the special land that he was going to give them. The whole earth belongs to me, God said. I have chosen you. You are my special family. I want you to live in a way that shows everyone else what I'm like, so they can know me too. So God called Moses up the mountain. The great mountain shook, and a thick cloud fell. Thunder roared, lightning crackled, and God gave Moses 10 rules called commandments. I want you to love me more than anything else in all the world. And I want you to know that I love you too, God told them. That's the most important thing of all. God gave them other rules, like don't make yourself pretend gods or idols. Don't kill other people or steal or lie. The rules showed God's people how to live and how to be close to him and how to be happy. They showed how life worked best. God promised to always look after you, Moses said. Will you love him and keep those rules? We can do it. Yes, we promise, they said. But actually they were wrong. They couldn't do it. No matter how hard they tried, they could never keep God's rules all the time. God knew they couldn't, and he wanted them to know it too. Only one person can keep all the rules, and many, many years later, God could send him to stand in their place and be perfect for them. Because the rules couldn't save them, only God could save them. He's talking about Jesus there at the end. So here's the thing about the commandments. There is no way that any of us can always follow the commandments perfectly. We make mistakes because we're humans. But that's why God gave us Jesus. And even though we make mistakes, God still wants us to try to follow those commandments because it's the best way for us to live together in a community. If we don't follow those rules, if we just decide, I'm going to steal what I want, I'm going to murder people if I don't like them, I'm going to disrespect my parents, I'm going to gossip about people and tell lies about them. Like, we could do all of those things, and sometimes we do some of those things, but all we do is hurt each other. And so even though it's hard sometimes, man, those rules are like these beautiful boundaries that God gives us to help us to live together in a community that is healthy and loving and where we hope for the best for each other. So this week, I hope that you'll think about what it means to follow those commandments. Talk with your family about it. Maybe talk about which ones are the hardest for you and which ones might be a little easier. And maybe help each other out when there's one where you think, I don't know how to do that one very well. Maybe you can talk with your family about that. In the end, it's all about God's love for us and God wanting us to be healthy in our community and in our family and in our friend groups. So I hope you have fun talking with your family. Enjoy our final song, and I will see you next time for Sunday school. Have a great week.